Your childhood is beautiful and precious, something most people look back on and recall a few memories that can make them smile. It's something you can look back on and say, I miss those times. Maybe during a conversation with some friends you have the infamous remember when discussion that always ends with a few tears. Indeed, your childhood is precious and something you should likely cherish. But what if your childhood tried to bring you back to the past? Would you return? The Door on Silent Hill F is one of the few lingering threads that yet to bring a satisfying conclusion to its meaning. Sure, you can come up with a few theories here and there, but for a game that has pretty much a good answer for a lot of its main mysteries, the door remains something we kind of just don't know much about. So in this video, I want to piece together my thoughts on the door itself, and what it likely means, and how Rikishi 7 has used the door to showcase a lot of my points I shall present during the video. Spoiler warning for like the entire game, and all endings, so make sure you finish the playthrough before watching. Oh, and spoilers for Higurashi Watanagashi Hen and Miyakashi Hen. Trust me, it'll make sense later, perchance. So before we start, let's talk about all the times we see the door in the game. The door is the first thing we see in the game. The cutscene opens up with Hinako talking to her doll.
It's about their dope games.
Hinako? I thought you were playing with your friends.
They said I can't play house with them because I hang out with boys.
Well, how about you play with your big sister instead?
Really?
We can clearly see that in the past, Hinako would vent her frustration to the doll, being the fact that she wasn't allowed to play with other girls due to the fact that she played with boys. In the environment of 1960s Japan, young girls and boys wouldn't be seen playing with each other, normally staying with the same gendered friend group. However, Hinako was different. One of her childhood best friends was Shu, a boy she played with a lot, with their favourite game being Space Wars. Anyways, returning back on the doll. With a single cutscene, we can see that the doll, for Hinako, was used to vent and also give her advice to help her with her frustrations, this time recommending that she played with her older sister Junko. We know this is in the past as the following cutscene showcases Hinako and the president, and tells Junko that she was reminiscing of the past. With this, it's likely that Hinako views the past more highly than she views her present, something that will probably make sense later on. In New Game Plus, the dialogue is different only if you have the fox brooch. Rather than vent to her about her frustrations of the fact that she was segregated from her female friends, it now talks about how she was displeased with marriage, with what sounds like a younger Junko saying that she doesn't need to get married if she doesn't want to. The next time we see the doll, it's holding instructions to help Hinako solve the Shrine Paths puzzle when Hinako first enters the Dark Shrine world. This is likely to save her from being trapped, as the doll we see later deeply opposes the fox mask. We can see this as after Hinako opens the door, a red mist appears, and a door appears with writing on the wall saying, "Don't trust the fox." And almost as to stop Hinako from leaving, the creatures are summoned to attack her from reaching the main exit, something that she later does at the end of the game too. After she reaches the exit, she'll try to close the gate, but is knocked down. However, we don't see who knocked her down into New Game Plus, where we see that it was actually the doll who done it, returning her back to the normal world. Back in the normal world, when Rinko and Hinako are preparing to go downstairs, Hinako sees the doll and it warns Hinako of Rinko, as soon after Rinko pushes Hinako down the stairs. If you want to know more about Rinko and about her mindset, I recommend you watch the previous video talking about Rinko and her obsession with Shu. Anyways, as Hinako falls down, she descends back to the dark world. She soon sees another message from the doll warning Hinako of the fox mask. This cycle continued throughout the entire game, where Hinako would ignore most of the doll's warnings despite it trying to help her out, or seemingly helping her out. This is when we start to see how this doll can be seen as a saving grace for Hinako, as it tries to help her out through most of her situations. But now let's go more in depth with what the doll truly is doing. The doll is trying to help her not complete the wedding. The whole dark world is a metaphor of the wedding process Hinako and Kotiyuki is going through. The doll is constantly trying to avoid this from happening. During the encounter with Rinko boss fight, she even tried to help Hinako remember her name, likely due to how names change after marriage. It wants Hinako to return to what she was before she was married. The doll is her past. It's trying to bring her back to before she was married and when it could rely on her. During the final act of the game, where Fox Hinako needs to travel back up to her residence, the doll tries to stop her in 3 different occasions, the doll seemingly being the one who summons the creatures to stop Hinako. Metaphorically, what Hinako is doing is saying her final farewells to her parents before she moves out with her husband. Depending on the ending you choose, the doll is much more direct in how she addresses Hinako, straight up denying Hinako in the Fox wedding ending, while trying to make Fox Hinako remember her true self in other endings. With all of this, the doll is clearly Hinako's past. This is interesting as there's 3 different people in the story trying to move Hinako in different directions. The doll is the past, she wants Hinako to stay in the present, and Kotayuki wants to move forward with Hinako. But what does the doll truly represent in other media that Ryokichi7 wrote? In What the Gashi Hen, the doll scene lands early and looks harmless. Keiichi wins a cute Western-style doll after a club game, and without thinking, hands it over to Rena in front of Mion. He even justified it to himself with that Mion is a tomboy, Rena is a girly one logic. That's the wound. Publicly in front of the friend group, he basically telegraphs Rena isn't the kind of girl who would want this. Mion spent years performing the tough big sis role as the next one's darky hair, so she hides anything soft and shoujo coded because it clashes with the mask she expects to wear. The doll is the exact opposite of the mask, overly cute and obvious girl-coded gift, and she wanted it from him precisely because accepting it would be a public acknowledgement that he sees her womanhood. Instead, she does that Mion thing, laughs it off as a joke, keeping the leader energy up. From that moment on, you can feel the root tilting. Keiichi then meets a super feminine waitress, Mion, at Angel Mort, which is actually just Shion. Keiichi would praise Mion's cuteness there and unknowingly double down on the same message: when you're at girly, I notice you. When you're yourself, I don't. Stack that on top of the festival tension and the Yashiro curse paranoia, and What Nagashi becomes a mess of crossfires where Keiichi trusts the wrong twin. Mion swallows her hurt, and Shion stews in her own inferiority. The doll isn't the cause of the murders, obviously, but it's a social pebble that starts an avalanche. It sets up the jealousy and identity fault line that everything else keeps shaking. Miyakashi Hen is a big reframing. The same fragment of time, but now sitting in Shion's head, watching how that one moment with the doll detonates the twins' dynamic. The VN lays it out. Mion wanted the doll. She wanted it from Keiichi in public, not because of materialistics, but because being chosen would mean her femininity would be seen and allowed. Shion, who has always been the girly one, reads Keiichi's choice as proof as what she feared most, that Mion's mask will work too well and people, Keiichi included, will never give Mion permission to be soft. Shion's protective love for her sister gets twisted by her own possessiveness. She alternates between Keiichi hurt her and I can be the only one Keiichi sees, and Miyakashi shows how she weaponizes that cocktail of pity, envy and desire. The route walks you through each escalation: basement confession, identity swapping, the torture chamber, so you can track how tiny social slights feed straight into the psyche already wrapped in Hinamizawa syndrome and the Sonozaki family pressure. When Shion later fixates on Mion's feeling for Keiichi, the doll moment becomes a shorthand for the core wound. Mion was denied being seen as a girl. Shion both hated and loved that she is not Mion, fits the doll. Miyakashi doesn't just say Keiichi made a mistake, it draws a straight line, public misrecognition, deeper twin insecurity, and all the worst choices snowballing under stress. The VM pays this off in the answer arc with a small, almost throwaway feeling correction that means everything. In Minago Groshi Hen, the general good loop, Keiichi gets a second chance at the same sharp moment and gives the doll to Mion. It's not about the object, it's about recognition in public, that he sees her as a girl he wants to make happy. Mion's reaction is so different, you can feel her whole fragment relax a notch. This route doesn't say problem solved, but you can watch the jealousy flag disarm right there. Later choices go a little easier. Conversations happen that would cradle trust, climb instead of crumbling. That's the series' larger point about fate. Sometimes the way out of the spiral is a single tiny decision that heals the exact wound you have created before. The doll sits dead center of the Mion Shion roots because it is the cleanest symbol of the VN use for femininity as recognition. When Keiichi gets it wrong, he publicly denies Mion's womanhood, and the story takes a dark fork. When he gets it right, he acknowledges her in front of everyone, and the story has room to breathe. It's one prop doing a lot of emotional heavy lifting, and the root are basically case studies in how much a small social cue can matter when identify what love are on the line. Higurashi uses the doll to showcase the feminine side of characters, while Silent Hill F is more framed at the past. Well, the past, even though she plays with boys, she still plays with dolls. The dolls in the game is heavily linked to femininity. Rinko, the character that purposely tries to put on the most feminine acts in order to try to be better than everyone else and to impress Shu, has dolls all around her room. Every time a doll is referenced, Hinako thinks of the past The past is where she played with dolls. The past is when she was more feminine. However, this isn't the same as Fox Hinako, as Fox Hinako falls for traditional sense of femininity when it comes to marriage and the role a woman plays in society, while the doll wants to bring her back to her innocence. Well, as much as I want to call the video here, the doll plays another much larger role in the story. This may likely explain the powers she seemingly summons and is able to overpower the likes of Kotayuki and Junko during the final part of the game. Think of Tsukumogami as object that levels up into spirits. In old Japanese folklore, anything that has been around for long enough and soaked up enough human attention, dolls, tools, umbrellas, can sort of wake up. It isn't just a haunting, it's an object agency. The idea sits right next to two ritual concepts the game keeps poking at. Katashiro, paper stand-in, used to absorb impurities. Something Rinko used to write down her emotions about Hinako. And Yoshishiro, a vessel that invites a spirit to dwell. In Silent Hill F world, you've got people pouring grief, superstition, and obsession into stuff for years. Silent Hill F picks that concept up and makes it literal, religion, and monstrous. The game Tsukugumiya appears as a late game boss and a Shura-like multi-armed figure covered with junk and tree roots, giving it a feel of an old, venerated object that become divine through age and devotion. You fight it during the Dark Shrine route. Story-wise, Silent Hill F treats Tsukuyomi as part of Ebisoka's shifting faith. Other dragon, poison legend gives way to divine tree cult. Townfolk leaves offering, and over time that fuse with Tsukuyomi belief where broken tools and dolls aren't just trash, they're vessels. The result is a setting where religion plus money plus objects can literally assemble into a god you must confront. That's why the doll keeps cropping up in puzzles, notes, and endings. It's not just a creepy haunted doll, it's an object made sacred and dangerous by attention and time, the attention that Hinako used to give it. The doll is Hinako's past, asking to her to be seen, the same way the Higurashi doll is Mion's femininity asking to be seen. That's why dolls matter. In Higurashi, the doll proves how a tiny public gesture can grant or deny someone's womanhood. In Silent Hill F, the doll proves how a tiny private habit can grow into a god that drags you backwards. Both stories are warning labeled, slapped into something cute. The thing we cherish can save us when they are recognized, and smother us when we let them replace recognition altogether. So would you go back every childhood called you? Silent Hill F answers this with a shrug and a knife. Only if you carry it forward without letting it carry you. The doll's a test. If you can look at it in the eye, thank it for what it held, and walk past it, you can get to be a person, not a relic, and not a role, and not a shrine. Thank you for watching the video. The doll as a character and entity itself is very confusing because you have the literal metaphors and then you have this god aspect of it, which may not be taken as literal. So it was very hard to kind of put that balance in, and I had to talk about Higurashi at least once. Yeah, I might make a video talk about all the references that Silent Hill F has with like Higurashi, Ubuneka, and Syconia. I think that'd be pretty interesting to see the references from. Also, thank you for the previous video. It has done way better than any of us has probably expected. And look forward to the Kotayuki video coming out soon. The next video I'm probably gonna be making is probably gonna be the Sakuko one. Because I feel like she's a very interesting character, and I was meant to do it this time, but I thought the doll was a bit more. No one had really tackled it, I feel like, and hopefully I've done a good job. I'm not sure. Either way, thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe, and yeah, we may do other videos soon. I play gacha games, we play gacha games, so multiple story videos or multiple videos in general might be coming out. Thank you so much for the previous video support, and have a good day.